So so far we have discussed about the CSS selectors and CSS priority. So today we will talk about the divs. So before we get into that, you should know a little bit about divs. Divs is basically a it's a block where you can it's a container. Maybe you can consider as a container where you can put whatever you want inside. You can put divs, you can put paragraphs, you can put tables, anything or any content related to HTML. So in this video, we're just going to play with these divs and try to do something new. Basically, I'll introduce two things, which is the float left and right, how we use them and how really we can use them. Like basically, most people are confusing with float left and right. People say it's like if I want to align something to the right, I'll give float right. If I want something to the left, I'll give float left. Theoretically, it is correct, but when it comes to practical, you need more examples to work it out. So I'm going to cover those examples today along with the other CSS properties. Okay. So now let's just give me 1 second. Let's start. Take that, and as usual, we need a HTML file, and just starting with the HTML tag. HTML/HTML. We'll take header tag. I'll just say head. Open body tag, and I'll close the body tag. Oops. So done with the body tag and done with the header tag, and let's start with the style. Type is equal to text/CSS style. So in this we're going to play with the divs. Let's take a div, right? And I'll take one more div. Beautiful. Now in tables, we have seen, right, if I want 4 columns, we take 4 TDs in a single row, in a single TR. So if I want similar to that, all I need to do is I don't need to take any columns here, but the thing is I can simply take 4 divs. If I want 4 columns, let's say, I'll take 4 divs, and I'm going to write a class. I don't write a class, I'll just directly take a div since we have only 4 divs right now. So all I say is float left. When I say float left, which means these divs will align to the left of individual divs, which means block level elements will become inline level elements, but they're not literally becoming inline level elements, but acting as a inline level elements, which means if there is a space, let's say if I have 100% of space, if one div is occupying only 20%, which means there is 80% space is available to the right side. So if I say float left, the below div will automatically come and occupy that space. So though it is not becoming an inline level element, but it is still acting as an inline level element and sitting next to another div. But the original div, what it will do exactly, it will just come one each other, which means it will occupy the entire line. It's a block level element. But if you give float left, it acts as an inline level element and sit next to it. So let me show you. Let's say I'll take a width of 40 pixels, right, and height of 80 pixels, and I'll just give some background, BACKGROUND, and I'll say some FF0000 red color, and now I save it. I'll take and play with div.html. So now I can able to open that, go here for free training sessions, play with divs. What is it? Yep. Open with Google Chrome. As you can see here, it is only one div. One second. How come it is possible? We have taken 4 divs, and for every div I have given 40 pixels, 80, height 80 pixels, and background red. Here, actually, all the divs are sit next to each other. Since we have given same color for all divs, they're just attaching. So we're just looking like single div. It's looking like a single div. So to avoid that, I just want to give some margin. What margin do? Margin give a space outside of the div, outside of the box. So let me go here and try to here refresh. As you can see, this is a div. The red box is a div. Whatever the space surrounding your looking is, it's a margin, which means when you give a margin to any div element, basically this is what happens. Look at here, 40 by 80, width 40 and height is 80, but surrounding there is one more space called margin, that is called margin, and it is also occupying an extra space other than width, which is not included width, which means the width of this div is right now not only 40, since I've given margin, how much I have given margin? 15 pixels, which means I need to consider, if I want to consider, I need to consider in both left and right. Left 15 pixels, right 15 pixels, plus div width is 40 pixels. So total 70 pixels. So this div is occupying 70 pixels width of the document. So you need to consider. We will get to know more about it when we're talking about the CSS box model. I'll explain you clearly, but here I'm just trying to explain float left and right. So as you can see, you might wonder what happening. You said float left, but this guy is aligning to the right of this guy, but you said float left. Yes, float left means no matter what, all the divs will align to the float left side. It will align to the float left as long as the space exists. So now what happens if I give float right? Let's see. Uh, Here instead of float left, float right. Now just refresh the page and check. See, all the divs are moving to the right side because all the divs are stacking together from the right side. If I say left, all the divs will stack together from the left side. Let's say I'm going to increase width to 400. See what happens. See, these divs are aligned, stacked from the right, 400, 400, 400, but there is no space available, 400 space is available. So that's the reason that div automatically come down and sit at the bottom. But now if I add more divs to it, they will align from the right. So let's say if I change it, that's the reason, see, you see here a proper margin here, but you see here the left out space. So now I'm going to do float left, see what happens. Left, refresh the page. As you can see, it is aligning from the left, and there is a space between here. So let's say I want to align, one is in the left and one is in the right. So I need to write a different CSS style sheets for individual divs, which means how I'm going to do that. I can simply use any other, basically classes for each and every div and do it. But anyway, I'll take another example for that and explain you. But in this example, let me show you. So you might wonder, let's say I have a one more div. I'll give you one example on controlling selectors. So I love India. I love Andhra. Pradesh, Rayalaseema. Oh, because I'm just from there, so I love everything, but I'm just trying to prioritize. Kurnool, and whatever, LG, Nandyal. So now here, I'm going to say India is the greatest country in the world. Yeah, you have to be a little patriotic in the world. So all I want is all these divs to be aligned properly to one each other, and this text should come down. Let's try refresh the page. As you can see here, I want only these divs boxes to be aligned to one each other, and this guy should come down and display as a different box. That will happen. So if I want to control it, all I can do is simple. I'll write a div saying that class is equal to cards. So I'm calling them as a cards. You can call anything. Basically, you just need to give a proper name. There is no, it's basically your wish. Even if you write your name, also fine. But thing is, when you're working with professional in a professional, you need to be well aware of how to give a names in a specific. Let's say if you're building a shopping cart, if you're creating thumbnails, you need to provide a related name so that it's easy for you to recognize. It's not mandatory, but it's good if you want to follow some professional standards. It's good because some other guy comes and looking at your code, he should be able to understand easily. That's where you make a difference. Anyone can write a code, but you need to write a clean code. So now what I did, I have taken the class, I've taken one div, and I placed all these 4 divs inside this div, whatever, 5 divs inside this code div. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of saying div, if I say div, it will apply all the div elements in the entire document, which I don't want. I want only the divs inside these cards. So now I'm going to use group selector, which we discussed. I think I have not named it before, but now I'm naming it. It's basically dot cards space div. You might we might have used a div space paragraph, or div space table, or any other things, but you can also mix up with the elements and classes, with the elements and div, with the elements and id, sorry, with elements and id. So basically you can do any combination, so there is no restriction. So now what I did, dot cards space div. Hey, if you find dot cards, if you find a class called cards, inside that, if you find any div, apply this CSS, whatever the CSS we have written. And what about the remaining divs? I don't care. So it won't change anything. Let's try. Just save it and try to refresh it. As you can see here, everything is applied. But for this, it has not applied. As you can see, there is one more problem over here. Though you have not given float left to this div, right? This div is not under cards. As you can see, this div is completely different, separate section. It is not even under the cards, but it is still acting like it has been given float left. That is because the float left effect will be there for next elements also. Though it is inside the a cards element, so it will be there for inside other very next element also. So to avoid that, we have an option called clear. So all I'm going to do is just I'll say class is equal to content, whatever content. I just given it as a content. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write a class name content, open close brackets, and I'm going to say clear both. So what I'm saying here, when I say clear both, I'm clearing both left and right. When I say clear both, I'm clearing both left and right of float, which means I'm clearing the float over here. Let's try and refresh the page how it looks. As you can see, it's become a complete individual again. So it is not affecting by the float left of these elements. Though you might wonder, I have given float left only for inside divs, not for the main div. How come this is affecting? It is affecting. It's been like that. So to avoid that, to get rid of that, we are going to make we are going to take clear both. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, clear both. Regarding. Cool. So now what else I have to do? Beautiful. Let's try to write our own CSS for the content. I'll say, hey, I want to give us some padding of 15 pixels and width of 200 pixels, or maybe I'll say 800 pixels, height 80 pixels. Brilliant. I'll say some 200 pixels. Now, all I'm going to do is I'll just copy the same thing. Oops, sorry, my bad. You need to be careful with that. Always be a little slow. No need to hurry. I'm just, of course, pasting same thing. I just want some paragraph. So now I'm just saving it and refreshing the page. Now I can see I've got same space, right? Because I have given margin for this div also separately. So now as you can see, go here, take it and check the margin is given. And you might wonder, there is one more problem here. There is no space. Actually, it is attaching to the div, right? So to avoid that, we have something called padding. You might see it in tables. We were calling it as a cell padding, but padding is a global attribute. Like it will apply for both table, it will apply for padding, it will apply for everything. I mean, if you give padding to any element, it will apply. That should be block level element. Remember, it should be always block level element, not inline level element. So what about cell padding? Cell padding won't work with any other tags. It will work only for the table. So now I'm going to use a padding. So I'll just make sure. Oh, my bad. I have already given padding. It's supposed to be a margin. Now, oh, that is for content. So for this, I've given margin, right? Yeah. Now I'm going to give a padding of maybe I'll say 20 pixels. It is more, but let's try. Refresh the page. As you can see, the width of the div has been increased because I've given padding 20 pixels, right? As you can see, inside div there is a space that is called a padding. When you say padding, it will apply for left, top, right, bottom. You can write differently, like padding right, padding left, padding top. If you want to give only to the top, you can give. If you want to go only give to the top and left, you can give. So we will discuss more in upcoming videos on that. But here, as you can see, you got a beautiful padding. And also, if you see here the div, we have a lot of space in the right side because this space is not enough for this block. That's the reason these blocks are coming down and aligning each other. So this is what you need to consider when you're designing a structure. You need to consider padding, you need to consider margin, and you need to consider width and also the border which we are going to use it in the future. So you will understand much better when we were discussing about when we are going to discuss about CSS box model. Okay, and anyway, this is how we need to use padding and padding and margin specifically. Let's say I'm going to give a background of pink or whatever, ff00ff. Now go here, refresh. As you can see, it is came, right? And now what I need a padding. So I'm just going to give a padding of 20 pixel. Why padding I need? Because I just don't want this text to touch the edges. So I want some nice space between the text. So now all I need is let's say here I say body, open, close, font family Arial. Refresh. See, now the font is looks beautiful. You can use any text, any font family, Arial, Vardhana. Basically, you find most more in most of the website you find Arial and Vardhana, but there are other sans serif fonts. So we have a latest libraries provide fonts through online itself. You don't need to worry about that whether the font is available in the system or not. We will get into that more in coming videos, but anyway, so as you can see the background is dark, so text is also dark. It's not looking that good, so I'm going to make it a white. So I'll say, hey, whatever the text we have in the entire website, make it white. Of course, if I want something else, I can change it later on in specific sections, but as you can see, everything is white right now. But here I'm feeling that there is a line height is there is very less gap between the lines. I want more line height. So for that I'm going to write a line height attribute. Line height attribute 22 pixels. Brilliant. And refresh the page. As you can see, you've got more line height and it's looking much better than before. So a recommended line height is always like between 18 to 22 pixels for the long text read, because let's say if you have 100 paragraphs, 10 paragraphs or 15 paragraphs, you just try to give between 18 to 22 as per your satisfaction. Not less than that or more than that. If you give more than that, and it's difficult to read if you have a lot of space between the lines. This is a recommended. And the recommended font size is like 12 to 14 pixels for the content. Headings is completely your wish, depends on the style which you designed, which designed or developed by the designer basically. So this is what, and let's play with the so now you understand the margin, padding, and of course the text, line height and everything. Let's try border. Okay, I want to give a border only for the divs inside the card. So I'll say border hash ef 1 pixel solid. These three are important values. Like you need to provide with a space, not comma. You need to provide with a space. First is a color code. It will start always with hash and the color code. You can find color code from the internet, like you will get the code for the red, green, blue, whatever you want. And 1 pixel. How much thickness you want exactly? So you can say thickness, like 1 pixel or 2 pixels. You want to look bold, with a thick borders, you can say 4 pixels or something like that. Solid, basically you are uh, uh, let's say you're drawing with a bigger brush, how thickness it will come. If you're drawing with a smaller brush, how thickness it will come. So you can control a little bit of that thickness, not much, little bit of that thickness using solid. What is the other values? There are values from 100 to 800. Let's say you can give 400, which means basically maximum is 800. I want to display only half of that, like 400. So you will try to give 100 to 800 values or solid. You will see the difference, you will understand. But right now I'm giving it solid since I want a proper border. Now let's refresh the page and check. See, I've got the border, but still I was not able to see it because I've given it as a gray color. Let's try to give something else. FF. Okay, I'll say 00 FF FF. I'm not sure. I think it's a blue or something. Yeah, it's kind of blue. Yeah. So as you can see, you've got thick borders of 4 pixel, and if you want to increase of that border, you can take 14 pixels also. Refresh, see how beautiful it is looking. I mean, you can literally creating a boxes. So this is a border. This is the one example of a float left and right. Float left and right. I've just given you an example, right? So what if I want to align them properly to the center? So right now, as you can see here, what's happening here is all of them are aligning to the left. Either they are aligning to the left or they are aligning to the right. How can I align them to the center? That's where this guy comes into picture, who the cards. So now all I'm going to say is dot cards. I need to provide a width. It's a mandatory. Width is 800 pixels, and I'll say margin auto. So when I say margin auto, what really happens? It will, let's say you have a 1200 pixels of width, maximum screen of your screen width is 1200 pixels. If you say width is 800 pixels, okay, it will occupy the 800. You have a remaining 400, right? In that 400, it will equally distribute the margin and says, hey, left side 200, right side 200, and the middle is 800. So, and automatically the content will align to the center. Let's try. As you can see, it is aligning to the center. As you can see, it is aligning to the center. You are not able to see it because there is no background for the cards. Let's try to give a background color for the cards. Background ash EF and try to refresh the page. Hold on, did I miss something? Yep, I need to say background color. There is no difference between whether you put here on the top or whether you put here on the bottom. I'm placing it here only because I just want to keep at the same place all the related C classes. Okay, it's okay. Someone asked me a question. Just give me one moment. Can we give outside border for the div? What do you mean outside? Because right now it is outside only, right? So padding, let's say you see this padding is inside border and margin is outside border. So can we give outside border for div? This is what, right? We are already giving outside border only. Can you be more specific with your question, Murli? Anyway, meanwhile, I just want to try why the heck it is not working. As a class, width of 800 pixels, BSC background 1 2 3 4 5 6. It is because which I am not able to see the color. Okay, let's try to fix it. I just need to find out the error. Here, this is a cards div, right? So here I have given the cards with a background color black. It's supposed to work, which is not working right now. Ah, my bad. So I have not provided the height, right? So if there is no height, it won't apply because it's though we have a content inside the cards, still we need to provide for the for the main div to see the background of the main div. So right now, no, not important tag. I'll tell you about the important tag. Thanks, Harshit. Uh, height is like 800 pixels or something. Let's save it and refresh it. As you can see now it is working fine, right? But there is again there is a problem with this. We will solve this problem in upcoming videos when we are working with the real-time templates. But now let's give more height. Let's say I'll give 900 height and I'll say give 1100 width. Now what happens? Let me refresh the page. As you can see, now I've given more width to the cards. Now as you can see here, these divs as aligned to the left. But the problem here is, again, they are aligning to the left of that inside div. So we have not solved the problem. So how can I solve this problem? I can solve this problem using a CSS box model. So which means basically I need to make sure the content inside in it occupying the same space, let's say if I have a 1200 pixels of width, I need to make sure each and every box are occupying like 600 pixels. Right now the box is not occupying 600 pixels. I need to calculate, right? So we will discuss about that when we're talking about the CSS box model. Okay, let me get into another example. I'll show you what is the difference between float right and left and where we can use it in our real-time scenarios. So in that way, you will remember when to use float left. I recommend always use float left for if you want to align divs on each another. But if you have a specific requirement where, hey, no matter how much space in the center, this div should be, stick to the left and this div should be stick to the right, then you can use float left for one div and float right for another div. So let me do that example also. I'm just closing down and just taking one more file. Okay, Harshit, this important tag is to overwrite. I didn't explain about that important because we mostly try not to use it. We'll use it when we, only when it is required. We should not use it whenever we want. Of course, there is nothing wrong, but still no need to use it unnecessarily. We need to be, we can deal with the tags itself. But when you are overwriting a Bootstrap or other frameworks, yes, there is no way we can overwrite them because they have already overwritten tags. So we need to use important. So we will discuss about that when we, in upcoming videos. That's good, important. It seems you have already a little bit knowledge of HTML. That's good. HTML. Go ahead. Close head. Go body. Close body. Beautiful. Now, let me take two divs with the different classes. Class left div. So don't write like this, left div or right div in your real-time applications. Try to give the content, whatever you are trying to put inside, related to that content, whatever the name. So this is just an example. So I'm giving right div and left div. So now I don't need a parent div for this. So I can simply write my own CSS style sheets. I'll say, styles, sorry, type is equal to text slash CSS slash style. Now all I can do is just take a class name left div, open close. I'll say, hey, dude, float left. I'll just copy this thing, paste it, right div, float right. Beautiful. So before that, I don't want to write at the same time, right? So what I can do is I'll say div open close. Wherever the div you find, just give me 1 second. Let's take a div. You just see here, I'm width is equal to 400 pixels, height is equal to 200 pixels. As you see, I'm saying is equal to, but it's a colon. Don't forget it. Don't give is equal to when you're writing. ff00, and I'll say margin, whatever, I don't need a margin. So as you, if you can see here something, instead of giving width, height for both divs, what I did is I took a tag selector which applies for both anyway. So I've given whatever the width and height I needed, and of course the background, and I've written my CSS only for left div float left and right div float left. So this is how you need to minimize the code. So this is how you need to understand, and okay, let's say whatever the needed for this, I can give this. Okay, so I just wanted to give a width and height and background. So this is same for all these divs. So why don't we just give it in a globally with a global selector, whatever it is, whether it is a div, whether it is ID, whether it is a class. So it should not be ID, because you will not have duplicate IDs in your document. So it's always either a class or a tag selector or anything else. So right now I've given a float left and right. So I just save it, all files, float left right .html. I know, sounds weird, but still. Float left and right .html, and go here. Where is that? Here, right click, open with Chrome. As you can see, the CSS has been applied for both divs, and the div, one div is aligned to the left, one div is aligned to the right. So if you have a requirement of aligning the elements differently, like let's say completely left and this div is completely right, no matter whatever the space in between, you can use different like float left and right. But if you want two divs sit together next each other, always use float left or float right, but always recommended float left, because we all of us all of our elements are aligned from the left. Only in Arab countries content will be aligned from the right. Maybe you can use their for that you can right. So it depends. So it depends on the requirement. You need to understand the requirement. Based on that you can use it. So always try to use float left if you want to align the divs one to each another, like next to it, like one side by side, something like that. If you want to align both of them individually, like let's say I want one this to the left, or one this to the right, you can give differently. You can say like float left and right. Otherwise you can simply give a float left. So that's the main difference between float left and right. That's how you need to understand when to use float left and right. If you still have any questions, or if you find any difficulty when you are developing any website or frame, a wireframe or something right now, when you with the assignments, just do let me know. I'll help you with this. I hope you understand now with the divs float, how to clear float also important, remember, which I did here for the content, right? I did here for the content. As you can see here, where is it? Clear both. You can say clear both, or if you are given only left, you can say clear left, something like that. So why we use that clear? Because I don't want my current div affected by the affected by the float left given to the other divs. If I don't want this to be affected, I can give a clear both, or clear left or clear right, however I want. So this is that's it for today's session. So assignments is simple. You can take any one of previous assignments and do it in divs, because you have done so far you have done everything using tables, but now you start doing with the divs. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about the CSS box model, and I'll try to start a template. I'll working with the divs. And you should know that basically this training is from TRISHOOL.com. So I'm providing it's a free training session, but you're getting it from TRISHOOL.com. So of course the website is still under development. So whatever the content inside is just dummy right now, but we're going to build it as soon as possible. Thanks for your time.